Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Professor Samuel, for the introduction. One day, after coming back from school late in the evening with me, my 14-year-old son told me, "Dad, I don't believe in God." I gently asked, "Which God?" Pointing the finger towards the sky, he said, "God who is above, beyond the sky." Then I said, "I also don't believe in such a God." "Then who is God?" he questioned. I said, "I don't know. I don't have the full answer. But I know where God is." "Where?" he asked very curiously, but with a doubtful tone. I said, "I know that God is not above and we are below. Instead, I am aware that God is with us and at the same time ahead of us." In this conversation with my son, I used the word aware deliberately, purposely. There's a difference between knowledge and awareness. Sometimes our ideas about God can prevent us from being aware of God's real presence. "I'm hungry, Dad. When is Mama coming home?" my son disrupted our God talk. I said, "Why should we wait till Mama comes home? We should cook together for her too." We stopped talking about God. Both of us started preparing food for all three of us. Sometimes, rather than debating about God, preparing food together and sharing a meal can awaken us to the real presence of God. Now, let us turn to the text from the Bible. Moses grew up in Pharaoh's palace, which was separated from the others. He knew about gods who give power to Pharaoh to mediate between gods and human beings. He lived a secure and a comfortable life. Pharaohs had slave camps. This was the will of God. One day, Moses goes out of the palace. He sees an Egyptian killing a slave. Moses kills the Egyptian and runs away, avoiding punishment. He then gets married and settles down as a shepherd in a faraway land. This is a human story. Moses did not know about a different God, but he had a deep sense of justice. In the face of injustice, he reacted. Then he was filled with fear. Standing for the other became too much for him. That is why he ran away. He wanted to forget about what happened. The life he started now is also a secure life, like the life in the palace. One day, he goes out again. But with the sheep. It is here he hears the voice of a different God. What is the difference between this God and the gods of Pharaoh? This God sees, hears, and above all, knows the cry of the slaves. Knowing here means feeling deeply. This God is sensitive and empathetic. That is why she calls the slaves my people. That is why she calls the slaves my people. Moses is asked by this God to confront Pharaoh and deliver the slaves. Moses doesn't want. He wants to be secure. He's afraid, or he is not sure. It is too risky. He's in crisis now. He wants to withdraw. But the voice says, I will be with you. I will be with you. For the first time, Moses comes to an awareness that there is a God who is with him and with the slaves. Not above the slaves like the pharaohs. His life is deeply moved and he totally changes. He becomes fearless. A new journey of hope begins. It is a journey of faith in a God who loves, who gives hope of freedom, a God who builds new relationships. As my 14-year-old son has, we also have our questions about God. Sometimes we think God is not there, or God is above, we are below. The above-below language about God indirectly justifies relationships of domination. The ruler is above. We who are ruled are below. Like Moses, we do have palaces with different gods, families who look after us, a university that is prestigious in the world. Oh, Yonsei, the dream of everybody. All these provide us with some security and social comfort and puts us above the others. Security and social comfort give us a social standing. But like Moses, now and then, there are times we go out. Our hearts are troubled by those who are treated badly, excluded, marginalized, and alienated. We try to do something, then it becomes too much. Then we say, it is not my problem. We run away, looking for security again. We want to separate us from them. We do not want to be in crisis or chaos. In fact, those moments of crisis in life are the moments of grace. We do not want to stand for the other. We build walls around us, different kinds of walls. Our own security becomes our God. Fear becomes the driving force. Security is built on fear, not on love. The opposite of love is not hatred, but fear. We are afraid of loving. We are afraid of listening to the God of love. We lock our hearts, which are really capable of loving. We become cold within our walls of security. from personal to the political, from the families to the political parties, from schools to universities. There is a cult to worship the idol of security and social comfort. Security that separates us from the others. A social standing that puts us above and the others below. Sometimes we live in a virtual world which gives us security and comfort. We see the smiles or tears perhaps only in emojis, not in real faces. It is one thing to send an emoji with a crying face or a smiling face, but it is totally another thing to meet and cry or smile holding hands together. The God who sees, hears, and feels with the other calls Moses to enter into a new relationship. A relationship that sees the other, hears the other, and feels with the other. A relationship that takes the responsibility for the other, stand for the other, not simply with the ones who look like us, but different from us. It is, of course, a risky task. That is why Moses is reluctant. But God gives the assurance, you are not alone. I am with you to lead you to a new land. What is this new land? It is not the heaven up there, somewhere. It is not the place our society prescribes and promotes through so many advertisements. It is a place here and now where there is love, not fear. A land where there is sharing, not individualism. A land where we are judged by our humanness, not by our appearance or accent. A land where education is measured by knowledge about life and world and God, and not by the name of the university. A land where youth is measured by how much we love and care for the other while studying, and not by the number of hours we study. A land where we are protected by mutual understanding between North Korea and South Korea, and not by nuclear submarines. Why do we call Jesus the Son of God? Jesus embraced the faith of Moses at the banks of River Jordan. He lived that faith to the fullest in the first century Palestine. Jesus felt deeply for the other as God felt, to the extent of giving up his life outside the walls of Jerusalem. It is this deep intimacy with God and with one another which are the characteristics of his divine sonship. The Spirit of risen Christ invites us to have faith in a God who is utterly sensitive. The Spirit of risen Christ moves us to action, to transform our cold relationships into warm companionships, so that there shall be love and joy amongst us. Praise be to God. I am a theologian and also a peace and human rights activist. I do not want to prove that God exists, but I do want to proclaim that there is a God who loves. I happily stopped the talk about God with my son when he said, that he is hungry. We started preparing food together. I felt the presence of God. Then again, my son restarted the conversation while we were boiling noodles. Dad, why do they call God he? Why not she? Then the doorbell rang. He said, "It's Mama." May God be with you all. Thank you.